Hello everyone, welcome to the daily news analysis of Next IAS. This is Varun. Today we will discuss 5 important articles from two newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. The first article is regarding decoded section of means. The article is about Panchayati Raj institution, that is the institution of local self-government. Then we will discuss further more articles which are related to our explained section of prelims examination. The first article is regarding PM Dhan-Dhaanya Yojana. Second article is regarding marital rape exception which has come into Indian Express again, and third article is regarding soyabean oil import which has surged. Then last article will be regarding India's sovereign green bonds. So let us discuss our first article of decoded section. So the first article here says Panchayati Raj system. What is the backdrop of this article? This article has come into the newspaper regarding Panchayati Raj system in distress. The article is saying, beside it there is also a devolution index has been presented by government for Panchayati Raj system, where Karnataka has topped. This article has come in yesterday's newspaper, The Hindu. Beside it, in today's newspaper, there is another article in editorial section of The Hindu newspaper, the Panchayati Raj movement is in distress. So we will discuss in this backdrop about the Panchayati Raj system. What is the relevance of this topic? The relevance is important aspects of governance in our mains examination GS2 paper, and for prelims also this topic Panchayati Raj system can be asked in Indian polity and constitution section. So let us see why it is in the news. Panchayati Raj system was not much discussed during the special discussion. This has been said by the article. During the special discussion on 75th anniversary of Indian Constitution. So on the occasion of 75th anniversary of Indian Constitution, there was a debate and discussion in the parliament, but Panchayati Raj institutions were not discussed. That's what author says. Beside it, we also have discussed that there has been a report, status of devolution to panchayats in state, and this report has been released by Center. So we will, in this context, we will discuss the article further. Let us understand whether some PYQs have come or not on this topic. That will help us to understand which type of questions can be framed in our mains examination. So there are two PYQs. First is assess the importance of the panchayat system in India as a part of local government. Apart from the government grants, what sources the panchayats can look out for financing developmental projects? This has come into mains 2018 examination in the paper GS2. Again, there is another question. In the absence of a well-educated and organized local government, panchayats and samitis have remained mainly political institutions and not effective instruments of governance. Critically discuss. This is also came into the mains examination of 2015 paper GS2. So let us understand what we will cover in this our discussion. First, we will already have covered what is news. PYQs also we have discussed. Then we will discuss further historical background. Then we will move to positive impact of Panchayati Raj institution including devolution index. Then we will further discuss some challenges. Beside it, we will also discuss what is the way forward for this. And at last, we will discuss a practice question for you. So what is news? So the article says that there was a special discussion already and Panchayati Raj system is in distress also. This has been in the editorial of today's newspaper, that is The Hindu. Beside it, the article also says that the momentum of deepening local governance, which started with 73rd Constitutional Amendment 1992, has stalled due to technological, administrative, financial and governance shift. So due to these reasons, the author says the momentum which was gained due to the 73rd Constitutional Amendment has been installed. Now, let us through historical timeline understand this evolution of Panchayati Raj institutions in India in a much better way. So this is historical evolution post our independence. So first, what happened? In ancient India, village council, that is sabhas, were there, which were acting as the role of what today we know as Panchayati Raj institution. But during medieval period, due to the feudal structures like zamindari system and others thing, these local self-government institutions were not that much impactful. In 1882, there was a landmark and significant event happened when Lord Ripon passed a resolution on local self-government, which is prominently called as Magna Carta of local self-government in India. Lord Ripon's resolution is known as. This question itself can be asked. Then in 1957, Balwant Rai Mehta Committee was earlier formed, and it recommended 3-tier Panchayati Raj system. Then in our 1959, Rajasthan became the first state to implement this Panchayati Raj system at 3rd tier. In 1997, Ashok Mehta Committee provided 2-tier system, that it recommended that 2-tier system of Panchayati Raj institutions will be there at district level and at block level. Not there was no intermediary level. For example, right now there is 3-tier. First is district level, second is block level, and third is our village level. So it recommended only 2-tier. Beside it, in India, when India got independence, the federal structure which was provided by constitution was at 2 levels, center and state. But through the constitutionalization, further we have achieved 3-tier system also. In 1986 to 88, 2 committees were formed, Alam Singhvi and Gadgil Committee, which recommended constitutionalization of Panchayati Raj. Constitutionalization of Panchayati Raj was recommended. And then in 1992, finally, 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act was passed by our Parliament, and it gave constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj system. Then in 1996, PISA Act was also passed to provide provisions of Panchayati Raj institution in scheduled areas. Now let us understand some of the positive impact of this PRIs, and which is also shown through the devolution index. So first positive impact is implementation of DPSP. So Article 40 itself says that this is the responsibility of a state to take steps to organize village panchayat. This is also one of the Gandhian principles in our DPSP. Beside it, it also helps to practically shape the vision of welfare state. Then decentralization of power and authority is also being provided, and we are able to achieve this decentralization of power and authority through PRIs, like it effectively transfer power to local people by involving them in various activities. Then transformation to participatory democracy. Representative democracy is becoming to participatory democracy. Representative means only voting, from only giving vote to being part of the governance, being part of the democracy through active involvement of citizens. There are also some positive impacts like enhanced political empowerment and representation. Like there is reservation for SC, STs and women in Panchayati Raj institutions. Even as of May 2024, there is a data which shows that women are now about 46% of the total elected representatives at PRI level. We have to understand this. This is a very important aspect. Also, the Nobel laureate Esther Duflo has done a study and which shows that reservation for women in local government provides a very effective leadership of women, and they are also focused toward women issues mostly, like drinking water, like cooking fuel. On these areas they do something. There is also improved public service delivery, and which focus on Antyodaya and Sarvodaya basically. But there are still some challenges in Panchayati Raj institution, as discussed in our article itself. The article provides that various challenges which are leading to the installment of this our Panchayati Raj institutions in functioning of the democratic setup or political structure of Indian polity. First is decline in public participation. So over the period of time, it has been observed as per the article that there is weakening of grassroots democracy. Beside it, over dependence on centrally sponsored scheme. What happens? Center provide tight grants which restrict local decision making. These grants are for the particular centrally sponsored schemes, and that's why there is an issue that these tie up the hands of local self-government institution. Then there is also limited administrative decentralization. Like there is a data or report by ministry itself that less than 20% states have devolved in all 29 subjects listed in the 11th schedule as per the report by Ministry of Panchayati Raj in 2022. Then there is loss of fiscal autonomy is also there, that is reduction in united grants limiting local decision making, and also in 13th Finance Commission the grant was 85% which reduced to 16 in 15th Finance Commission. The Finance Commission recommended some grants by center for local self government. So in 13th Finance Commission provided for 85% which has been reduced to 60%. Then there is also shift in the idea of welfare state through technology, because the role of DBT has come up. So what is happening right now, instead of providing services, welfare schemes are being substituted through DBT through digital platforms, like we can say about the PM Kisan Yojana, in which directly the funds are being transferred to the farmers. Rather, there is a scheme to improve their input or to provide them input or to improve their irrigation capacity. So in this manner, the author is saying that the shift in the idea of welfare state is happening through technology and in the form of DBT especially. Then there is also impact of rapid urbanization. So what is happening due to the rapid urbanization, there is a migration from rural areas to urban areas, and which is leading to shrinkage of rural population, and further this cause that various rural aspects and various rural issues are being neglected as the population is becoming less in the number. Then even article itself shows the way forward, which the author says that this should be the path for revival of Panchayati Raj institutions which has been stalled. So first is leverage technology, like bridging the rural urban divide through network Panchayati Raj system. So various missions like BharatNet can be used to provide a networked Panchayati Raj system. Then there is also Panchayats for sustainable development. So panchayats, because they work at local level, they can focus on the various aspects which are directly related to sustainable development, like water conservation, renewable energy generation. These areas can be focused. Then there is also enabling community participation. So by enabling community to participate more and more, Panchayati Raj institutions can be revived, and especially in the areas of disaster risk management and community proper resource management, like various assets being created through MG Narega, like ponds. So these assets can be managed by community itself. Then it also further says that political and institutional reforms should happen, like regular audit and performance assessment should be done. Then there is increased women and marginalized community participation should also be focused. Then there is enhancing fiscal autonomy. Finance is very important aspect for working properly of any institution. So strengthening local revenue generation, as in India there is challenge of, even economic survey sometime back has properly presented a report which shows that revenue generation is still low in Panchayati Raj institutions as compared to other countries. Then there is also provide direct fund transfer, but it should be with autonomy. Now let us practice a question which you should practice and submit your response in our comment section. First question is, how does the decentralization of power through Panchayati Raj institution contribute to inclusive development? Discuss its impact on marginalized community. Another question is, in the context of Panchayati Raj system, explain the implication of reduced public participation, over dependence on centrally sponsored schemes and limited fiscal autonomy on local government. So for first question, the structure can be, for introduction, you can just mention about the devolution index itself and that it has been come, and even you can also say that on the occasion of 75th anniversary there was no discussion. Then in body you can mention about the how you can frame the title or heading as contribution of Panchayati Raj for inclusive development, and then you can, if it is a 10 marker, this is sufficient. If it is a 15 marker, you can also mention some challenges, and in conclusion you can provide a way forward, whereas here you can provide in conclusion, if it is 10 marker, link it to the our SDG goals. Beside it, for the question number 2, you can write about the various implication which has been created in introduction you can just mention about the devolution index, and then in body part you can mention again about the implication on reduced public participation over dependence. That is, you have to write the challenges in context of first reduced public participation, then over dependence on centrally sponsored schemes, and limited fiscal autonomy on local governance. And then if it is a 15 marker, even if it is not 15 marker, when there has been asked a challenge, it is our obligation to write a way forward. So write way forward and then conclude with a punchline that local self governance institutions are the vision of Gandhian philosophy as mentioned in our DPSP. So that's for. There is also another article in the newspaper which we already have covered. So the article is about President Rule Function. We have covered about President Rule on 12th Feb 2025. The article is saying how does a President Rule function. So on 12th Feb 2025 in our explained section we have covered President Rule in a very detailed manner. This is our humble request, go and watch the video and understand the concept. Now we will discuss first article of our explained section for the prelims examination. The article is regarding PM Dhan-Dhaanya Yojana. So this article has come in the backdrop of Finance Minister while presenting our Union Budget this year announced that the launch of Pradhan Mantri Dhan-Dhaanya Krishi Yojana. In this backdrop, this article has come in the explained section of Indian Express newspaper, where we can see that the Prime Minister Dhan-Dhaanya Krishi Yojana schemes has been announced. Now, what is the relevance of this article? For prelims examination, the provisions or the objectives, aims or specific features of this Pradhan Mantri Dhan-Dhaanya Yojana can be asked itself. So that's why it is very important for our prelims examination. Now, let us see what is about the Pradhan Mantri Dhan-Dhaanya Krishi Yojana. So it has been launched after the success of Aspirational Districts Program. Aspirational District Program, which was launched earlier in 2015, it has become a very successful program by the Government of India. Now, based on the implementation of Aspirational District Program and from the learning of Aspirational District Program, this scheme has also been designed on the features of Aspirational District Program. So, this Pradhan Mantri Dhan-Dhaanya Krishi Yojana will again cover 100 districts, and it will cover 100 districts on parameters, like 3 parameters have been defined. First is low productivity, second is moderate crop intensity, and third is below average credit parameter. So on these parameters the districts will be chosen. Now, what is the aim of this scheme? Let us discuss. The objective, it has 5 important objectives. Let us see one by one. Enhancing agricultural productivity. First objective, it means that this scheme will help to enhance our agricultural productivity. That is, productivity means less input and more output. Then, adopting crop diversification and sustainable agriculture practices. From time to time, we are seeing that our agricultural practices are becoming monocropping. It is unsustainable, like stubble burning problem is also there. In backdrop of those things, it will also help to crop diversification. Then there is augmenting post harvest storage. So India do not have that much capacity to store our various post harvest available things like crops or crop grains which has been processed. So for that, and especially at panchayat and block level, it means at the center where the production is happening at agricultural fields, nearby them like block level or our panchayat level, the storage facility will be provided to store post harvest. Then there is improvement on irrigation facilities. For irrigation facilities also, like there will be provisions to create some canals, some other arrangement like sprinkle water, drip irrigation. These things also will be provided. Then facilitating availability of long term and short term credit. Availability of credit is always an issue, especially in agriculture arena. Beside it, it will cover 1.7 crore farmers and 100 districts. So that's a very huge number. Funding, how the funding will come for this, especially this scheme. So funding will not a separate fund will be allocated, rather comes from existing scheme. So various already schemes are there. From there, the funds will be pooled for this scheme, like Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying also has various schemes. Through that the funding will come. Now let us see a practice question on this topic. So you can practice and understand how a question can come on this topic especially. So consider the following statement regarding the Prime Minister Dhan-Dhaanya Krishi Yojana. It was launched after the success of Aspirational District Program. The scheme aims to enhance agricultural productivity and improve irrigation facility. The third statement is scheme will cover 100 districts. So this is our humble request to all of you, as you always do, kindly mark your correct option and put in our comment sections. Your peer will review. We have another article which have come into the newspaper about stampede at New Delhi railway station. This article we have already covered about stampede on 10 January 2025 in our explained section. You can refer about that particular video and understand about the various provisions and nuances of stampede. Now, the second article is regarding marital rape exception. So, the backdrop of this article is Chhattisgarh High Court has provided a ruling which extended marital rape immunity to section 377 of IPC, restricting legal recourse for women in non-consensual sex cases. Under this backdrop, this article has come about marital rape exception. The article's headline is Chhattisgarh High Court extends marital rape exception. Why this matters? In this context, we will under this topic. Now, what is the relevance of this? So, it can be asked in our prelims examination itself under the topic social development or social justice. Even in mains, it can be asked, but it is more specifically can be asked right now in our prelims examination. So, let us understand why this topic has been in the news. So, marital rape immunity is being provided in section 375. Section 375 of IPC provides punishment for rape, but there is an exception for marital rape. The particular section is under review by the Supreme Court for marital rape also. There are various PILs filed for this thing. So, the High Court has extended marital rape exception under section 375 of rape of IPC to section 377 unnatural sex. So, what has happened? IPC section 377 provides various provisions and punishment if there is unnatural sex. So, that was being used by women which faces unnatural sex through her husband. But the High Court has said that there is an exception in this also for marital rape. Now, section 375 has some exemptions. It does not consider a husband guilty of rape if the wife is above the age of 18 and the sex is non-consensual. This has been said by the High Court. Let us understand also the interpretation of section 377 of IPC itself. So, it provides post-decriminalization application. Like section 377 still penalizes non-consensual unnatural offences. In 2018, Supreme Court has provided a ruling in which it decriminalized, not completely get away from the section 377, rather it read down the provisions and it decriminalized section 377. But it is still being used for non-consensual unnatural offences. Another thing which has been interpreted here is that exclusion in marital relationship will be done under section 377 if there is non-consensual unnatural sex is between marital partners, so it will not be taken as an offence. Forced sex within marriage cannot be prosecuted under section 377. This has been said by the High Court. Then there is the article also says about that various women were using this particular section to protect themselves. So, article says that section 377 was previously invoked to provide legal protection to women in cases of non-consensual sex within marriage when domestic violence provision were insufficient. So, it was also being used as a substitute for domestic violence when the Domestic Violence Act was not completely able to provide the grievance redressal for women. Now, there are concerns and implications for this particular judgment. First is legal protection for women will not be provided, as omission of section 377 of IPC removes crucial legal recourse for married women in non-consensual sex cases where earlier they were able to get. Now, no equivalent provisions in BNS also, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has replaced the older IPC, there is no equivalent provision which was in our IPC, that is section 377. BNS lacks an equivalent to section 375 and which will create legal gaps for women and LGBTQI individuals. Then there is also a report of Parliamentary Standing Committee in 2023. The committee has advised of retaining section 377 for non-consensual carnal intercourse. But this suggestion has been overlooked by BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, in which it was not included. Again, we have a practice question for you so that you can practice this question and understand which type of question can be asked in the prelims examination. So the question is, consider the following statement with reference to the section 377 of IPC. Section 377 is included under BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Second statement is section 377 covers the topics related to rape and unnatural sex. So this is our humble request to all of you. Kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section. Your peers will review. We have another article which has come into today's newspaper. The article is regarding rat hole mining, and we have covered about rat hole mining in our one of the videos 11 January 2025 in explained section, in which we have covered Assam coal mining. So you can refer the video and understand the nuances. Now our next article is regarding India's sovereign green bond. So this article has come into the newspaper under the backdrop of demand of sovereign green bonds in India is weak. In this backdrop, there is an article. What the article says? The headline of the article is, what are India's sovereign green bonds and why is demand for such bonds weak? So what is green bond and why demand is weak? We have to understand in this context this article. What is its relevance? Its relevance is very much in our prelims examination. We will see in the further slides what can be asked. Now let us understand what is green bond itself. So before that, we have to also understand what is bond. So bond is basically a debt instrument which is used by investors to raise money from the public, and in return there is a yield. Yield is just like a profit or interest. Yield is like a interest which has been provided on a loan. If there is a loan, there is interest. Similarly, when there is a bond, there is yield. So green bonds are debt instruments issued by governments, corporations and multilateral banks. So it can be issued by government, it can be issued by corporations, it can be issued by multilateral bank. What is the purpose? To raise funds. For which purpose? For projects that reduce emissions or enhance climate resilience. So green bonds are that type of bonds which is specifically issued for to raise the funds for projects related to emission reduction, enhance climate resilience. In fact, it can also be used, the fund can also be used to fund efficiency projects. These green bonds are mostly offered at lower yields than conventional bond. So the yields here are lower, that's why, so that the cost of issuing bond and the cost of funding the project should be reduced. Now let us understand some other terms which has been in this article, like green premium or greenium. So what is greenium or green premium? So already we have seen that the yield on green bonds are lower. So the gap between normal bond and green bond, the gap between yield of normal bond and green bond is called green premium. So the difference in yield between green and conventional bond determines the cost advantage for issuers, and that is known as green premium. That is the advantage for issuer, that if the yield is lower, so they have to pay less. Investors seek stable long-term returns and may have mandates to allocate funds to green financing. Beside it, what is sovereign green bond? We have discussed green bond. Now what is sovereign green bond? So these are those type of green bonds which are used by sovereign entities. Sovereign entities are like Government of India. Now what is India sovereign green bond? Let us understand about this. So Indian government introduced this framework for issuing sovereign green bonds in 2022. In this year they have started. They have also provided various definition of the green projects which can be considered under the sovereign green bonds, like promote energy efficiency, reduce carbon emissions, enhance climate resilience and improve natural ecosystem. So these are the areas in which the fund which is being raised by sovereign green bonds can be used to finance such type of projects. Now, since 2022 to 3, when these type of sovereign green bonds has been started to issue, India has issued sovereign green bonds on 8 times, raising 53,000 crore. The amount has been 53,000 crore till now. Now, what is the use of and where this fund which has been raised like 53,000 crore, where it is being used? So, major fund allocation is being used for, the article is saying that 50% of proceeds used for manufacturing energy efficient 3-phase electric locomotives under Ministry of Railways. Beside it, other uses are also there, like 12,600 crore for electric locomotive manufacturing, 8,000 crore for metro projects, 4,000 crore for renewable energy projects, specifically we can say 4,600 crore under National Green Hydrogen Mission, and then 124 crore for afforestation under National Mission for a Green India. Under these areas, these funds which has been raised since the issue of sovereign green bonds has started been used for. Now, there are some challenges also to issuance of sovereign green bonds. First, limited participation. There is a limited participation not only from investor but also from the domestic and foreign investors are not that much interested. Both are averse to the sovereign green bonds. There is also issue regarding greenium. Globally, greeniums have reached 7 to 8 basis points. 1 basis point is equal to 10. 10 basis points is equal to 0.1%. So, their greeniums globally have reached to 7 to 8 basis points, whereas in India it is only 2 to 3 basis points. There is also issue of liquidity issue, because why liquidity problem is there? Small issue size and investors holding bonds until maturity. So, what happens in India, because there is no proper secondary market especially, so that's why what happens, investors are holding the bond themselves. They are not just like exchanging the bonds with other who are willing to pay more, and that's why there is a issue of liquidity crunch itself among the investors who are holding the bond. There is also weak investing ecosystem, because India lacks a strong network of social impact fund and responsible investing mandate. This is just in a nascent stage, that's why this issue is also there. Then let us also through a practice question try to understand under which area or how this question or how this topic can be asked in our prelims examination. So the question says, with reference to sovereign green bonds, consider the following statements. First, the funds raised by green bonds are exclusively used for green projects or business. Second statement, sovereign green bonds is one form of dated security. So this is our humble request to all of you, kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section. Your PS will review. Today we have another article about F-35. So this article has been covered by us on 10th Feb 2025 in our explained section, where we have covered about Aerospace Expo. So the article says, will US F-35 still fighter jets fit into IAS future plan? So you can refer our video and you can understand about differences between F-35 and Sukhoi 57. Now let us discuss another article which has been come into our newspaper regarding soybean oil imports. The backdrop of this article is India's soybean oil imports from Nepal saw a 14-fold surge, raising concerns about potential tariff violation and trade rule breaches. So this article, the headline of the article shows that a 14-fold jump in soybean oil imports from Nepal triggers red flags in India. This article is also covered in our Indian Express newspaper. Now, what is the relevance of this article? It can be asked under the section of Indian economy in our prelims examination, especially regarding the trend, that which country from where soybean oil has increased tremendously rapidly. These things can be asked. Now let us understand why this article has come into the news. So there is 14-fold increase of soybean oil imports from Nepal in the duration of from April to till November. Also, there is overall increase in soybean oil import, and India soybean oil import has rose by 19% to nearly $3 billion in 2024. That is a huge amount of forex revenue going out. Whereas Brazil, which is a very significant producer of soybean oil, its export dropped during the same period. Now let us also understand something about soybean, because this thing can itself be asked about some of the various special features of soybean in the prelims examination. Like its location, it is also called as golden beans, is a legume native to East Asia. So it is basically called found in East Asia, and there it is called as golden bean. The oil production, soybean is one of the most widely used vegetable oils globally. So it is too much used globally. Major soybean growing states are in India. It is MP, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Karnataka and Telangana. We can also see here there is a table which shows the rank of states based on their production. Like from MP we can see that it produces about 41% and Maharashtra contributes about 40% itself. So these two states itself are very important producer. Whereas in 2022 to 23 the Maharashtra was more producing than MP. It was producing about 42%. So basically these two, MP and Maharashtra, are significant producer of soybean oil in India. Then which type of climate is suitable for production of this soybean crop? Warm and moist climate, that is 26 to 30 degrees Celsius of temperature is required or favorable, and beside it warm and moist climate. Then there are also some concerns regarding this 14-fold increase. Let us understand. First is flouting of rules of origin. So rules of origin is that the country should mention that the product is originating from where. Surge in imports may be due to Nepal flouting rules of origin as highlighted by the article itself. Beside it, zero duty access under the Nepal-India Treaty of Trade 2019 might be exploited. So India and Nepal has a treaty of trade which provides concession to Nepal regarding various tariffs being imposed on imports from Nepal itself. So Nepal has the advantage for imports. Now there is also tariff advantage. Nepal benefits from a tariff advantage of over 30% under the trade treaty. Already we have mentioned about the trade treaty, 30% advantage is there. So due to this, there is a suspicion that there is improper use of the FTA structure which is being put. What impact this duty is causing on India? So increased duties, India raised duties on edible oils by 20% in September 2023 to protect their domestic farmer. Also, there is import spike of soybean from Nepal skyrocketed despite the imposition of this duty, but because Nepal has an exception, reaching $23 million in November 2024. There are some data on imports, like Brazil's export has declined, we have already seen this, and China is an exclusion. China, one of the largest exporter of soybean oil, does not export to India directly. So there may be a chance that rules are being flouted and rerouted through Nepal. Nepal has a significant role in refining of soybean oil right now. Nepal imports about 98% of their soybean edible oil and refine it domestically before exporting to India. So Nepal basically import raw form of edible soybean oil and process it there through its industry and export to India. There is also lower tariff which has been imposed on edible oils coming from Nepal. Difference is 30%, we have seen this. There is also trade treaty. The Nepal-India treaty provides duty-free access for Nepali goods to India. Let us, through a practice question, again try to understand that how a question can be framed on this. Besides, you always try to understand or learn some factual information regarding soybean. First is about its condition under which it grows, from the trend like how exports are increasing or imports are increasing, these trend, which state is leading producer. So from these dimensions questions can be asked. Now let us see the question. With reference to palm oil, consider the following statement. Palm oil tree is native to Southeast Asia. Palm oil is a raw material for some industries producing lipstick and perfume. Palm oil can be used to produce biodiesel. This palm oil question already has been asked in UPSC examination. That's why we have included, so that you can understand that any topic which is related to these oil seeds, how they frame the questions and from which dimensions question can be asked. So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section.